So Tony takes me to lunch and he makes this offer, would you like to, be this character?
So when you're working on the weekend or for WCW, was it Ole Anderson was the one that decided to approach you to be a ballet?
I am so happy.
Was Ole ever sexy tired? My question. Hell,
No,
Ole
no,
looked tired. I don't think he ever looked sexy.
no. But let me say this to you though. So recently I called Schiavone and I'm like, Tony, you've got to tell me. This is something I don't know about my own career. Like, how did I get the job of Alexander York? Because I knew Tony invited me to go out to lunch at the Omni back in the day, when it was still, remember there used to be an ice skating rink at the Omni and everything. So Tony takes me to lunch and he makes this offer, would you like to, be this character? Mom, if he's going to keep snoring that loud, you're going to have to move. Okay. Anyway, so I'm at lunch at the Omni, and yeah, so I asked him recently, like in the last month, I'm like, dude, how did this happen? And he said, Ole literally looked at me and went, and I was like, is the lighting bad, guys? I can switch seats because I'm getting bad backlight. You want me to move or no?
No, I think it's fine. Don't you think it's fine, Jerry?
No, we're fine.
All right, yell if you need me to move. Anyway, so Tony said that Ole basically said to him, and I guess wrestler sign language, what are we going to do about that one? And Tony was like, what? And Ole said, what are we going to do about that one? And so that's how it ended up that Tony went to lunch with me and offered me this position. And I was just like, talk to me. Like, what are we talking about here?
How long had you been there?
95, since 95. I'm sorry, 85. 85.
So how long had you been working with Ole at that time?
Did you say how long I've been working with whom?
Ole.
Oh, I mean, when I started. But, back in the day, it was, Watts would come in, this, in and out, right? In and out. That didn't sound real good, did it? However, so, I asked him, what are we talking about here? What kind of money? So for a while, I literally was I had to be at CNN at 4 a.m, not wake up at 4 a.m. I had to be there at 4 a.m. And then I would literally go to work from 4 a.m. to 12 noon. And then I would either fly or drive to wherever TVs were. Sometimes I would get back home just in time to shower and go right back to CNN to do makeup. And I think it was Montgomery, Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Montgomery, Alabama, where I heard someone, I don't know exactly who it was, but I heard someone say, watch her. I don't think she's going to make it. And I remember going to the ring and holding the ring post and not being in character at all. And not being like, I was just like there holding on to the ring post. And as I was walking back, I lost sight in one eye. I think it was my right eye that I lost sight in. they rushed me to the hospital, and I had all these tests done, MRIs, everything done. After all these tests, they said, like, we think you're just exhausted. Well, that's something you hear a lot of stars say. Oh, they were just exhausted. No, I was freaking sincerely exhausted. So, yeah, I was just like working around the clock. It was craziness. Um, but yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that story, but
So,
yeah.
had you ever been interested in the wrestling business before? Did you grow up watching wrestling? I mean, was there an interest there? How did the progression happen? How did the transition happen? Did it go smoothly?
Um, Great question. Um, I was not interested in wrestling. And after that moment in Alabama where I just lost it, I just could not even walk. I couldn't move. I lost sight. It was just a hot mess. Um, I realized, like, dude, you got to pick one or the other. Like, you either are going to work for CNN and do makeup, or you're going to work for wrestling and be this character, but neither the two shall mix because this ain't happening. Um, so yeah, I ended up I quit wrestling first. Um, Dusty pissed me off. Here's what's funny. Everyone always thinks, that I was in the business because I was dating Dustin. It was no, the opposite. Dustin hadn't even stepped foot in the business. Um, and so, yeah, I realized I had to make a choice, and I just couldn't continue doing both. I just couldn't.
What were you mad at
So
Dustin?
Terry, you tell me I got lost here, which isn't unusual for me, but you're doing Larry King's makeup, then then you're back into Atlanta. When you went back to Atlanta, how did you get involved with the rest? Did they assign you wrestling to do makeup, or how did all that come about?
No, so I was doing makeup on the weekends, and on basically, like I said, the low man on the totem pole. And yeah, so I was the wee man. And yeah, I just so the transition was that I had to choose between the two. And yeah, I made the choice initially to leave wrestling, and then I left. I left all of them eventually. And I was pregnant with Dakota. Excuse me, and and then I was a stay-at-home mom,